I'm Sarah, 29. Staring at my phone in disbelief at my parents' text. Watch your sister's wedding online. I hadn't spoken to Emily in 14 months. Not since she uninvited me from her wedding. Growing up, she always came first. Her achievements celebrated while mine were afterthoughts. That text message crystallized 29 years of being second best. What I did next would change our family forever. Before I dive deeper, where are you watching from today? Hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever had to make the difficult choice to walk away from toxic family dynamics. Trust me, this journey gets intense. The pattern of favoritism started early. When I was 7 and Emily just 4. Our parents, Michael and Laura, threw her an elaborate princess-themed birthday party with a bouncy castle, professional face painter, and custom cake. For my birthday the month before, a small gathering with grocery store cupcakes. Emily's more social. Mom explained when I asked why my celebration was so different. She needs the extra attention. This wasn't an isolated incident. Throughout elementary school, my straight A's earned brief nods while Emily's C+ in math received dinner celebrations. School just comes easily to you, Dad would say, dismissing my hours of studying. Emily has to work harder. So we need to encourage her more. The message was clear. My achievements were expected. Hers extraordinary. When I won first place in the state science competition in 8th grade. My parents skipped the awards ceremony for Emily's dance recital. I stood alone on stage, scanning the audience for familiar faces. Finding none. Later that night, my gold medal sat on the kitchen counter while everyone cooed over Emily's participation certificate. There'll be other science fairs, Mom said when she noticed my disappointment. Emily only gets one chance at this recital. The disparities continued into high school, when I was caught missing curfew by 15 minutes after studying at the library. I was grounded for 2 weeks. When Emily missed curfew by 3 hours after partying with friends, my parents merely sighed. At least she's being social and making connections. Their differing standards cut deep, each instance reinforcing my place in the family hierarchy. College brought no relief. I attended State University on a partial scholarship, working 20 hours weekly at the campus bookstore to cover remaining expenses. Meanwhile, Emily attended a private college with full parental support. Your sister isn't as academically inclined. They justified. She needs the smaller classes and more support. When I pointed out the unfairness during a rare visit home, Mom rolled her eyes. You're just jealous of your sister. Always have been. After graduation, I accepted a software engineering position in Seattle, grateful for the 3.000 miles between us. The distance provided room to breathe, to build a life without constant comparison. I thrived professionally, advancing quickly through promotions and earning recognition my family never gave me. Each success felt like personal vindication. Yet, family patterns persisted despite the distance. Holiday gatherings often occurred when I couldn't attend due to work commitments. We had to schedule around Emily's break. They'd explain. Despite my sending my availability months in advance. Yet when Emily needed financial help for her car repair or apartment deposit, I'd receive urgent calls about family supporting family. The one-way street of obligation became increasingly clear. Then there was Nathan. I met him at Thanksgiving 3 years ago. The one holiday I managed to attend. Nathan was my cousin Ethan's college roommate. Invited because he couldn't travel home. We connected instantly over shared interests in hiking and classic films. For 3 days, we talked endlessly, exchanging numbers before I returned to Seattle. Our texts and calls continued for weeks until they suddenly stopped. I later discovered why. He'd met Emily during a visit to Ethan's apartment. Within months, they were dating. I tried addressing these patterns during a rare phone call with my father. Dad, I feel like there's always been different rules and expectations for Emily and me. His response was dismissive. That's ridiculous, Sarah. We've always treated you both exactly the same. The gaslighting hurt worse than the favoritism itself. Denying my lived experience invalidated decades of accumulated pain. Through therapy, I began establishing boundaries. I declined financial requests while still sending birthday and Christmas gifts. I scheduled visits on my terms rather than dropping everything for family emergencies that usually centered around Emily. I built a circle of supportive friends in Seattle who valued me for myself. Rachel, my neighbor turned best friend, became the sister I wished I'd had. My boss, Amanda, recognized my talents and became a mentor. Slowly, I created the validation externally that my family never provided. By the time Emily and Nathan's relationship became serious, I'd achieved a fragile peace with my family dynamics. I accepted phone calls on my terms, limited visits to manageable durations, and focused on my increasingly successful career. I thought I'd found the balance between maintaining family connections while protecting my mental health. Then came the engagement announcement that would unravel everything. I discovered Emily and Nathan's engagement while mindlessly scrolling through Facebook one Tuesday evening. She said yes, Nathan's post proclaimed, featuring a beaming Emily flashing a diamond ring against a sunset backdrop at Mount Rainier, ironically. A hiking spot I'd recommended to him when we were close. The engagement had happened 3 days earlier. Not one family member had called to tell me. The memory of Nathan and me sitting on my parents' porch swing during that Thanksgiving weekend flooded back. "I've never met someone who gets me like you do," he'd said. Our shoulders touching in the chilly evening air. We'd made plans to meet in Portland, halfway between my Seattle home and his Portland apartment. Plans he canceled last minute. 2 weeks later, Emily posted their first couple's photo. My phone rang the next morning. "Isn't it wonderful news?" Mom gushed, not acknowledging I'd learned about my sister's engagement through social media. "We're thinking June for the wedding. The country club has a perfect venue. You'll need to request time off work." "How long have you known about the engagement?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Oh, Nathan asked for your father's permission last month. We've been bursting to share the news." But Emily wanted the proposal to be a surprise. The fact that everyone knew except me stung like salt in an open wound. Later that week, Aunt Susan, my mother's sister, who had always seen through the family dynamics, called. "I saw the announcement," she said gently. "Are you okay, honey? I know about your connection with Nathan." "It was nothing serious," I lied, staring out my apartment window at Seattle's drizzling rain. "Just a brief friendship." "Well, I'm here if you need to talk. Family situations can be complicated." The understanding in her voice nearly broke my composure. Despite my misgivings, I initially decided to attend the wedding. This was my sister's important day, and perhaps being there could begin healing our fractured relationship. I budgeted for appropriate attire, researched flights, and marked vacation days on my calendar. I even sent Emily a congratulatory text. "So happy for you and Nathan. Looking forward to celebrating with you both." Her response came hours later. "Don't make this about you, Sarah." No thank you. No acknowledgement of my olive branch. Just immediate defensiveness. I stared at those 7 words for 10 minutes, trying to understand what I'd said wrong. Over coffee the next day, I confided in Rachel about my fears regarding the wedding. "I'm walking into a minefield," I admitted, "but skipping my only sister's wedding would permanently damage our relationship. Just be prepared for drama," Rachel warned, squeezing my hand. "And know you can call me anytime during the weekend if you need backup." I booked non-refundable flights and a hotel room, spending nearly $1,500 I'd been saving for a coding bootcamp. The investment felt symbolic of my commitment to family reconciliation. 3 days later, Emily sent a group email to the bridal party, including me. I was listed as a bridesmaid alongside her friends from college and our cousin Olivia. A spark of hope ignited in my chest. Perhaps this wedding could be a fresh start. That evening, Mom called with wedding details. "Emily wants all bridesmaids to get the same haircut," she announced without preamble. "Shoulder length with layers. You'll need to grow yours out a bit." I touched my pixie cut, which I'd worn for years. "Mom, my hair won't grow 6 inches in 3 months." "Well, figure something out, Sarah. This is your sister's special day." Her tone left no room for discussion. Emily's subsequent group emails contained increasingly detailed demands. Specific shoes costing $200. Professional makeup appointments we'd pay for ourselves. Mandatory attendance at 5 pre-wedding events. Each requirement came with the same refrain: "This is the most important day of my life. If you can't commit fully, Let me know now. The unspoken threat hung in the air. Commitment meant compliance, no matter the cost, financially or emotionally. I added another $800 to my wedding budget and requested additional days off work for the bridal shower, bachelorette weekend, and rehearsal events. James, Emily's best friend since high school, who'd always been kind to me, sent a private text. Just a heads up. Sarah, Emily's been making some comments about you being included in the wedding. Might want to tread carefully. When I asked for clarification, he didn't respond. The warning signs continued mounting. Mom called about bridesmaid dresses, informing me that while everyone else had gone shopping together, they'd selected one for me. It's non-refundable and needs to be altered. We'll send the bill. The dress cost nearly $450, twice what Emily had initially specified as our budget. When I couldn't attend the bachelorette party in Miami due to a critical work deadline, Emily sent a scathing email about my lack of priorities and selfish career focus. I offered to throw a separate celebration in Seattle, which she ignored. Instead, she sent daily updates about the Miami plans, each message emphasizing what I would be missing. Family members began taking sides. Cousin Ethan defended me during a family dinner I couldn't attend. Sarah's busting her ass at work and still contributing more to this wedding than anyone. He reportedly said, resulting in him being relegated from groomsman to regular guest. My attempts at peacekeeping, sending thoughtful engagement gifts, offering to help with invitation addressing, suggesting I handle the wedding website, were met with cool dismissal. We've got it covered. Became Emily's standard response. Though Mom continued calling with complaints about wedding stress and how everything would be easier if you were here instead of across the country. The situation was deteriorating, but I remained determined to fulfill my bridesmaid duties. I'd already invested thousands of dollars and countless emotional hours. Surely, I thought, the worst was behind us. I was wrong. The bridesmaid dress arrived in mid-February, 4 months before the wedding. The size ordered was 3 smaller than I had specified, making it physically impossible to wear. When I called Mom about the mistake, she sighed heavily. Well, Emily thought you might want motivation to lose weight for the wedding. All the bridesmaids are on her special cleanse program. I struggled to find words that weren't profanities. That's completely inappropriate. I need a dress that fits me now, not some hypothetical future body. Don't be so sensitive, Mom replied. Your sister wants her wedding photos to be perfect. Is that so wrong? The dress incident opened the floodgates for more demanding behavior. Emily created a shared spreadsheet tracking bridesmaids' wedding preparation commitments, daily workout check-ins, weekly progress photos, and skincare regimen adherence. Each category featured color-coded compliance ratings. My column remained stubbornly red despite my attempts to participate reasonably. Financial expectations escalated alongside physical ones. An email arrived detailing each bridesmaid's contribution expectations beyond standard expenses. $400 toward the honeymoon fund, $250 for the bridal shower, personal financing of professional pre-wedding manicures, pedicures, and facials. I can't afford all this, I admitted to Mom during a tense phone call. I've already spent over $2,500. Your sister is marrying into the Carter family, she responded, referencing Nathan's upper-middle-class background. Their friends and family give generous wedding gifts. We can't appear cheap. The gaslighting intensified with each conversation. When I questioned if other bridesmaids were facing similar financial burdens, Mom insisted everyone was happily contributing and that I was looking for problems. James later confirmed that several bridesmaids had been given family financial assistance. Everyone except me. 8 weeks before the wedding, Emily called about the bridal shower, which Olivia was hosting. We're expecting your contribution check by Friday. She stated flatly. And I need you to create a video montage for the shower. Everyone sent their clips except you. What video? This is the first I'm hearing about it. I definitely told you. Check your emails. I had. Thoroughly. Finding nothing. I'll need specifics about what you want in the montage, I said, trying to sound cooperative. Seriously, Sarah. Everyone else figured it out without handholding. This is exactly why. She stopped abruptly. Why what? Nothing. Just get it done, okay? And remember, the check needs to arrive by Friday. The next bombshell dropped by group text. Bridesmaid dress colors had changed. New dresses. Non-returnable. Requiring additional alterations. Would cost another $350. When I questioned the change, suggesting we could dye the existing dresses, Emily responded publicly. If anyone feels they can't fulfill their bridesmaid duties, please let me know privately rather than causing group drama. Several bridesmaids texted me privately, expressing similar frustrations but fearing to speak up. The wedding was becoming a financial and emotional hostage situation, with Emily wielding her special day as justification for increasingly unreasonable demands. Cousin Ethan called one evening after another family dinner I'd missed. Just wanted you to know they spent 20 minutes discussing your difficult attitude tonight. He reported. Uncle William actually spoke up and asked why you weren't being included in family photos they're displaying at the reception. Aunt Laura changed the subject. They're displaying family photos without me? The exclusion felt deliberate and pointed. I wanted to warn you. Things are getting weird here. Sarah, Nathan seems uncomfortable with how you're being treated. But he's not saying much. My stomach tightened. Has he mentioned our prior friendship? No, but Emily makes strange comments whenever your name comes up. Something's definitely off. 2 weeks later, the bachelorette weekend occurred without me. Instagram showed the bridesmaids in matching swimsuits on Miami Beach, wearing custom team bride sun hats I'd helped design but received no credit for. Emily's caption stung. So grateful for friends who prioritize my happiness. #best bridesmaids ever. Throughout this period, I continued reaching out with offers to help remotely, addressing envelopes, creating wedding playlists, researching honeymoon activities. Each offer was declined with increasing irritation. If you really wanted to help, you'd be here. * became the refrain. Disregarding my work commitments and financial limitations. Future sister-in-law Chloe, Nathan's cousin, sent a particularly cutting text after I missed a weekday lunch for out-of-town wedding guests. An event scheduled with 1 day's notice. Your absence is becoming a pattern that's stressing Emily out. Maybe reconsider your involvement if you can't fully commit. My attempts to make peace, sending thoughtful gifts, offering technological assistance with wedding planning, making myself available for late-night phone calls, were consistently rebuffed or criticized as insufficient. The goalpost for acceptable participation kept moving, ensuring I could never quite reach it. As the wedding approached, my anxiety intensified. What should have been a celebration was becoming a source of dread. Still, I clung to hope that showing up with a positive attitude might turn things around. Then came the devastating phone call that would change everything. We need to talk about your role in the wedding. Emily began without preamble when I answered her call 6 weeks before the big day. Her voice carried the artificial sweetness she used when delivering bad news. I've been thinking that having you as a bridesmaid might be putting too much pressure on you. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Well, you've missed so many important events. And there's been some tension with the other bridesmaids. This was news to me. Besides Chloe, the others had been cordial in our limited interactions. I think it might be best if you attended as a regular guest instead. The careful phrasing couldn't disguise what was happening. I was being demoted, pushed further from the inner circle. Emily, I've spent thousands of dollars on bridesmaid expenses. I've taken time off work. I've tried to participate in everything possible from across the country. See, this is exactly what I mean. You're making this about money and inconvenience instead of my happiness. Her voice sharpened. This is supposed to be the happiest day of my life. And I don't need your negativity. I wasn't being negative. I was just, Mom and Dad agree with me. They think it would be less stressful for everyone. The revelation that my parents had participated in this decision without speaking to me directly cut deeper than the demotion itself. Did they suggest this? Or did you? Does it matter? The point is we all think it's for the best. I sat in stunned silence on my couch. Seattle rain pattering against my windows, matching the tears I refused to let fall during the call. What about the dress? The flights? Everything I've already paid for? You can still come to the wedding, she said, as if offering a generous concession. Just not as part of the bridal party. After hanging up, I called my parents, hoping they might offer some explanation or comfort. Dad answered, his voice guarded. Your sister is under a lot of stress, Sarah. The wedding planning is overwhelming her. And removing me from the bridal party helps how? Exactly? Don't take it personally. It's just easier for her to work with bridesmaids who are local. The excuse rang hollow. Olivia was flying in from Chicago. Even farther than my Seattle to Boston trip. You could have talked to me directly instead of letting Emily deliver the news. We thought it would be better coming from her. Translation. They'd lacked the courage to face me themselves. That evening, I received a text from Nathan's mother, Diane, whom I'd met briefly at the engagement party. Just heard about the bridesmaid situation. Richard and I want you to know we think it's uncalled for. Nathan seems uncomfortable with the decision but says Emily was insistent. The next morning brought the official uninvitation email. Clinical in its formality, after careful consideration of family harmony and logistical concerns. We've revised the wedding party arrangements. It continued with bullet points about returning the bridesmaid dress for partial credit and instructions to arrive at the ceremony 30 minutes later than the time on my formal invitation. The email was signed by Emily and my parents. A united front of rejection. At work the following day, I broke down in the middle of a team meeting when my project manager asked about my upcoming time off. I might need to adjust those days. I managed before tears overwhelmed me. Amanda, my boss, guided me to a private conference room. What's going on, Sarah? This isn't like you. The whole story poured out, not just the wedding drama, but the lifetime of feeling secondary, disposable, less worthy of love and attention. Amanda listened without interrupting, then said something that would echo in my mind for months. Would you treat anyone the way your family treats you? Would you accept this behavior from friends or colleagues? The answer was obvious, never. I contacted a therapist that afternoon. Securing an emergency appointment. Dr. Elizabeth Harper listened to my story with compassionate attention. Then asked, what would happen if you didn't attend the wedding at all? The question startled me. Not going seemed unthinkable given the non-refundable expenses and potential family fallout. They'd never forgive me. Are they currently treating you in a forgiving, loving way? She countered gently. That evening, I calculated my wedding-related expenses. $3,200 in non-refundable costs. The financial loss would hurt. But Dr. Harper's question resonated. Why was I fighting so hard to attend an event where I was clearly unwanted? I still had scheduled vacation days. Instead of canceling them, I began researching solo trips, perhaps a hiking retreat in Olympic National Park. Something healing and reflective. The idea of spending those days in nature rather than tension-filled family obligations felt like oxygen after years of suffocation. Chloe's venomous text arrived the next day. Emily told me about your dramatic reaction to the bridesmaid adjustment. For someone who claims to care about her sister, you're making everything worse. Your absence from the bridal party will be for the best. The photos will look more cohesive anyway. Nathan's parents called unexpectedly that weekend. We wanted to check on you, Richard said, genuine concern in his voice. This situation doesn't sit right with us. Nathan hasn't said much, Diane added, but he seems troubled by how you're being treated. We want you to know not everyone supports what's happening. Their kindness nearly undid me. Thank you, I managed. That means more than you know. As the wedding approached, family communication dwindled. My parents' calls became less frequent, filled with wedding details that pointedly excluded me. Emily stopped responding to my texts entirely. The family group chat buzzed with excitement about welcome bags, rehearsal dinner arrangements, and out-of-town guest activities, conversations I was included in but clearly not expected to contribute to. The wedding was 3 weeks away when I made my decision. I would not attend. The realization brought immediate, overwhelming relief. Like putting down a heavy backpack I'd carried for years. I wouldn't tell anyone yet. I'd use the coming days to strengthen my resolve and prepare for the inevitable fallout. For now, the decision was a private victory. A reclamation of power in a situation designed to render me powerless. June 17th dawned sunny in Seattle. A rare perfect day that contrasted sharply with my mood. I'd woken to a barrage of family social media posts. Wedding day is here, asterisk from mom. Can't believe my baby girl gets married today, asterisk from dad. And dozens of arrival photos from relatives at the Boston venue. Nobody had called or texted me directly. My absence apparently unremarkable. I'd spent the previous evening preparing my apartment for a self-care day. Comfort foods in the refrigerator. Favorite movies queued up. Phone set to do not disturb for everyone except Rachel and Aunt Susan. My wedding outfit hung untouched in the closet. Tags still attached. A visual reminder of paths not taken. At 10:17 a.m. My phone vibrated with a text from my parents' joint number. Ceremony starting soon. Watch your sister's wedding online. Link. Password. Emily Nathan forever. No personal message. No acknowledgement of my uninvitation or absence. Just a live stream link. As if I were any distant acquaintance unable to attend. Before I could process this bizarre olive branch. Or was it a final twist of the knife? Another text arrived. This one from Emily after weeks of silence. Don't ruin this for me by commenting or drawing attention to yourself on the live stream chat. Some of Nathan's family still doesn't know why you're not here. The implication was clear. A cover story had been created to explain away my absence. One that likely cast me as the villain. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at both messages, a storm of emotions swirling through me. Part of me wanted to ignore the link entirely. A final boundary-setting act. Another part felt morbidly curious about this event I'd invested so much in emotionally and financially. After 20 minutes of internal debate, I opened my laptop and clicked the link. The password granted access to a professional livestream showing the country club's garden decorated with white roses and blue hydrangeas, my favorite flowers. Ironically, guests were still being seated. The string quartet playing softly in the background. I recognized faces as the camera panned across arriving family members. Aunt Susan looking uncomfortable in a lavender dress. Uncle William checking his watch repeatedly. Cousins Ethan and Olivia whispering to each other with serious expressions. No one looked particularly joyful for a wedding day. The camera settled on the front row, where my parents sat stiffly. Mom already dabbing at tears with a monogrammed handkerchief. The minister took his position, followed by Nathan and his groomsmen. Nathan's expression surprised me, not the beaming anticipation of a man about to marry his beloved, but something closer to resignation. I prepared myself a cup of tea, oddly detached as I watched this ceremony unfold 3,000 miles away. The program flashed briefly on screen, listing wedding party members, ceremony elements, and family acknowledgements. My name appeared nowhere. Not as a removed bridesmaid. Not as the bride's sister. Not in the family thank you section. I had been completely erased. The bridesmaids processed down the aisle, now numbering 5 instead of 6. Wearing the blue dresses I'd paid for but never worn. Olivia, walking last, glanced briefly at the empty seat next to my parents, the space presumably reserved for me, before taking her place at the altar. Then came the moment I'd both dreaded and morbidly anticipated. Emily appeared at the end of the aisle on our father's arm. Her dress was indeed stunning. A cascade of lace and crystals that caught the sunlight. But her expression matched Nathan's, tense, performative, lacking the radiance one expects from a bride. As Dad delivered Emily to Nathan's side, the camera caught my mother's speech to surrounding guests. My beautiful daughter is getting married. Our only daughter on her perfect day. The deliberate erasure of my existence hit like a physical blow. 29 years of sisterhood dismissed in a single sentence. The ceremony proceeded with traditional elements. Vows that sounded rehearsed rather than heartfelt. A unity candle that refused to light properly. Readings delivered by Nathan's siblings, both of whom were included despite living farther away than I did. Throughout it all, I noticed Nathan rarely looking at Emily directly. His responses mechanical. Then came my parents' speech, delivered jointly before the final blessing. Mom spoke first. We've always known Emily was destined for something special. From her first steps, we recognized her exceptional spirit. Dad continued. Watching her grow into the remarkable woman before us today has been our greatest joy as parents. Nathan, you're receiving our greatest treasure. As they spoke about their greatest joy in parenting, singular, not plural, something shifted inside me. The live stream buffered briefly, the image freezing on my parents' proud faces as they celebrated their only acknowledged child. In that suspended moment, clarity washed over me like a wave. I was witnessing not just a wedding, but the perfect manifestation of our family dynamics. The message had never been clearer. There was room for only one daughter in their hearts. My finger hovered over the mousepad. A simple choice before me. Continue watching this ceremony where I'd been systematically erased. Or choose myself instead. In that moment, I knew with absolute certainty what I needed to do. I clicked cancel. The live stream disappeared, my screen returning to the peaceful ocean background of my desktop. The silence in my apartment felt suddenly sacred rather than lonely. For perhaps the first time in my life, I had chosen my own well-being over the gravitational pull of family obligation. I closed my laptop, made a fresh cup of tea, and stepped onto my small balcony overlooking Elliott Bay. The Seattle skyline had never looked more beautiful. The distance from Boston never more comforting. Whatever happened at that wedding now, I had freed myself from being its witness or victim. My phone remained blissfully silent for exactly 47 minutes after I closed the live stream. When it finally buzzed, I expected parental outrage or bridal accusations. Instead, James's name appeared on screen. Reception is a disaster. Food issues. DJ played wrong first dance song. And Nathan's mom just had words with your parents. Thought you'd want to know karma is real. I hadn't expected this, having imagined the perfect wedding proceeding without me. Reinforcing my expendability, James continued texting updates throughout the afternoon. The cake partially collapsed during cutting. Emily and Nathan had a visible argument during couple photos. And several guests left early, including Nathan's grandparents, who reportedly disapproved of how the sister situation was handled. Social media told its own story as the day progressed. Early ceremony photos showed forced smiles and proper poses. Reception images revealed increasing disarray, Emily looking tearful rather than joyful. Nathan engaged in intense conversation with his parents rather than mingling with guests. My parents sitting alone at the family table while others danced. Cousin Ethan sent a video that evening of the father-daughter dance, where Dad stepped on Emily's dress train, causing her to stumble and snap at him before storming off the dance floor. Thought you might enjoy this karmic moment. Ethan's message read, "Missing you here. Several people have asked where you are." The first parental contact came near midnight Boston time, a voicemail from Mom. Slurring slightly from wedding champagne. "I noticed you logged off the livestream. After everything we did to include you, you couldn't even watch your sister's special day. Always making everything about yourself. Sarah, the wedding was perfect without you. But you've upset your father deeply." I deleted the message without returning the call. A small act of self-preservation that would have been unthinkable months earlier. The following day brought surprising news from multiple sources. James reported that Emily and Nathan had separate airport transfers for their honeymoon departure. Aunt Susan called to say the wedding planner had quit mid-reception after Emily threw a champagne glass during a dispute about the seating chart. Olivia shared that several bridesmaids were comparing notes about money they'd spent on last-minute demands. Most unexpected was the text from Nathan 3 days after the wedding. "While supposedly on his honeymoon, I owe you an apology. Sarah, what happened with the wedding and your exclusion wasn't right. There's a lot you don't know." I waited a day before responding, unsure of appropriate boundaries with my new brother-in-law. "I appreciate that, Nathan. I hope you're enjoying your honeymoon." His reply came quickly. "We're not on a honeymoon. Emily flew to the resort. I'm at my parents' house. This marriage was a mistake. Rushed for the wrong reasons." 2 weeks later, Nathan called. Against my better judgment, I answered. "I need to explain some things." He began. "When Emily and I started dating, she was fixated on how close you and I had been during that Thanksgiving. She would question me constantly about our conversations, what we shared, if there had been anything romantic. There wasn't," I clarified, though the potential had certainly existed. "I know that, but Emily built it into something bigger in her mind. When we got engaged, she became obsessed with the idea that you might somehow interfere or outshine her. The bridesmaid invitation was her mother's idea. Appearances matter to your parents. The systematic exclusion afterward was Emily's way of controlling the narrative. But why did you go along with it? I asked. The question that had haunted me. Nathan sighed heavily. Weakness. Conflict avoidance. By the time I recognized the pattern, wedding plans were advanced, and both families were invested. I told myself it would get better after the pressure of wedding planning passed. He paused. I was wrong. The day after the wedding, Emily admitted she's been resentful of you for years, your career success, your independence, the way certain family members admire you despite your parents' favoritism. The revelation stunned me. While I'd spent years feeling inferior in the family hierarchy, Emily had apparently harbored her own insecurities. I never knew she felt that way. She wouldn't want you to know. It would undermine the narrative that you're the difficult one. Nathan's voice softened. For what it's worth, your absence was noticed. My parents especially thought the situation was handled terribly. After Nathan's call, more pieces fell into place. Aunt Susan visited Seattle the following month, staying in my guest room for a weekend of honest conversations. Your parents have always struggled with your independence. She explained over coffee at Pike Place Market. Emily's need for constant validation made her easier for them to understand. Your self-sufficiency made them feel unnecessary. That's twisted logic. I responded. Family dynamics usually are. It doesn't excuse their behavior, but might help explain it. She squeezed my hand. I should have intervened more when you were younger. I saw what was happening but told myself it wasn't my place. More revelations followed as family members, freed from wedding obligations, began reaching out independently. Cousin Ethan shared that Emily had specifically instructed the photographer to crop me out of any family photos used in the wedding. Uncle William confessed he'd questioned my parents about my absence, receiving vague explanations about Sarah's choice not to participate fully. Most surprisingly, my childhood friend Claire, who'd attended as Nathan's family friend, called to reconnect. The things Emily said about you didn't match the Sarah I grew up with. I should have reached out sooner to hear your side. Meanwhile, the newlyweds' troubles escalated. According to family gossip, Emily returned from her solo honeymoon to find Nathan moved back with his parents. A separation was announced 6 weeks after the wedding, with Nathan filing for annulment, citing fraud and misrepresentation *, terms that raised eyebrows throughout both families. My parents finally called in late July, their first direct contact since the wedding day livestream link. We may have handled some things poorly, Dad began, the closest thing to an apology I'd ever receive. The wedding was more stressful than we anticipated. I'm sure it was, I replied neutrally, unwilling to make their emotional comfort my responsibility. Emily and Nathan are having some challenges, Mom added. She could really use her sister's support right now. The request was so typical, expecting me to provide emotional labor after months of exclusion and hurt, that I almost laughed. I'm not available for that role currently, I said instead. My therapist's boundary-setting exercises paying off. I wish her well, but we need time and space before considering any reconciliation. Their surprise at my refusal was palpable. For the first time, I wasn't falling in line with family expectations. The conversation ended awkwardly with promises to talk soon that felt hollow. As summer transitioned to fall, I focused on rebuilding my life without the constant undercurrent of family drama. Work provided healthy challenges and recognition. New friendships developed through a hiking group and community garden project. I began dating Liam, a software developer with a close-knit, functional family who found my family stories almost unbelievable. This is how family should work. He explained simply when I expressed surprise at his mother calling just to check in without an agenda. Therapy with Dr. Harper continued bi-weekly, focusing less on family wounds and more on building the future I wanted. Family patterns don't disappear, she explained during one particularly insightful session. But you can recognize them early and choose different responses. That's where your power lies. This new understanding was tested when my parents called in December, 6 months post-wedding. We're planning a family reunion next summer, Mom announced. Emily's excited about it, and we want to make sure you'll attend. Rather than immediately agreeing or rejecting the invitation, I asked questions. When exactly? Who would be there? Could I bring Liam? The answers revealed the same old patterns. Dates chosen around Emily's schedule without consulting mine. Hesitation about including my new boyfriend when family is already complicated enough right now. I'll need to check my calendar and get back to you, I responded, a simple boundary that would have been impossible a year earlier. My mother's startled silence spoke volumes. When I declined the reunion invitation a week later, explaining that the dates conflicted with a pre-planned trip with Liam, my father's disappointment turned accusatory. Family should come first. Sarah, Emily's really trying to reconnect. I'm glad to hear that. I replied calmly. I'm open to reconnecting too. But it needs to happen at a time that works for both of us. Not just her schedule. The conversation ended abruptly, but I felt peaceful rather than guilty. Afterward, professional advancement provided additional validation of my worth outside family metrics. My promotion to senior software engineer came with team leadership responsibilities and recognition from company executives. When I shared the news with Aunt Susan rather than my parents, she understood the significance of that choice without judgment. Cousin Ethan's wedding in March provided another opportunity for family recalibration. Unlike Emily's exclusionary celebration, Ethan and his fiancée, Mia, intentionally created space for extended family healing. They seated me at a table with supportive relatives, kept my parents and Emily at a comfortable distance, and even acknowledged Liam as my partner in their reception introductions. We want everyone to feel welcome here, Mia told me during a quiet moment. Family is what you make it, not just what you're born into. That philosophy resonated deeply as I continued building my chosen family in Seattle. Rachel remained my steadfast friend, now joined by hiking companions, work colleagues, and Liam's warm circle. Sunday dinners at our favorite neighborhood restaurant became a tradition, the table expanding to include whoever needed community that week. My parents' slow recognition of consequences began approximately 7 months after the wedding. Their calls became less demanding, more tentative, as they realized I would no longer automatically accommodate family expectations. You've changed, Mom observed during one conversation, her tone suggesting this wasn't entirely positive. There's a difference. Emily's path proved more complicated. According to family reports, she cycled between blaming Nathan for the failed marriage and acknowledging her role in its collapse. Her text messages to me evolved from accusatory to cautiously neutral, though true accountability remained elusive. Sometimes I think about Thanksgiving 3 years ago. She wrote in her most vulnerable message. Things might have been different if I hadn't felt so threatened by you and Nathan's connection. It wasn't quite an apology, but it acknowledged a truth previously denied. I responded with equal honesty. I never intended to threaten you. If you're open to it, maybe we can talk about that sometime, not to rehash the past, but to understand each other better for the future. That conversation hasn't happened yet, but the possibility remains open. Healing family relationships after decades of dysfunction doesn't follow a tidy timeline. Some days bring progress, others reveal how deeply entrenched the patterns remain. The difference now is that I no longer measure my worth by their validation. The most unexpected outcome of this challenging year has been the deepening of my self-trust. Each time I honor my boundaries, prioritize my well-being, or speak my truth without apology, I strengthen the relationship with myself that was damaged by years of family dynamics. That inner foundation makes all other relationships, with Liam, friends, colleagues, and yes, even family, more authentic and satisfying. Looking back at that pivotal moment when I clicked cancel on the livestream, I recognize it as more than just closing a window. It was opening a door to a different way of existing in the world. One where I am the author of my story rather than a secondary character in someone else's. Have you ever had to make the difficult choice to step back from family dysfunction? What boundaries have you created that helped you heal? Share your experiences in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more journeys of finding strength through difficult family situations. Remember, sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself, and ultimately for others, is to break unhealthy patterns, even when it feels impossibly hard. Thank you for listening to my story. Wishing you courage on your own path to authentic relationships.